The Emotion Conversation Kit was sponsored by our friends at MetaShare. When I was in high school, I thought the only emotion that was allowed in Christianity was happiness. Whenever people asked how you were, it felt like you were supposed to say, "I'm too blessed to be stressed," or something like it. Not only that, but verses like Philippians 4:8, which says to think about whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and admirable, made me feel like it was actually a sin to feel anything other than happiness at any given moment.
But of course, God created an entire spectrum of emotion, and they all have important roles to play in our lives.
Very nice. Okay, looks like you got this. Very good. Oh, that's sharp turn. Oh, look out!
That's fear. He's really good at keeping Riley safe.
Easy, easy, huh? Hi, back! Oh, we're good. We're good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we're back.
Here we go. All right, open.
This looks new.
Think it's safe?
What is it?
Okay, caution. There is a dangerous smell, people. Hold on, what is that?
This is disgust. She basically keeps Riley from being poisoned, physically and socially.
That is not brightly colored or shaped like a dinosaur. Hold on, guys. It's broccoli! Yucky! Well, I just saved our lives. Yeah, you're welcome.
Riley, if you don't eat your dinner, you're not going to get any dessert.
Wait, did he just say we couldn't have dessert?
That's anger. He cares very deeply about things being fair.
So that's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
The description of emotions here is insightful. If you're walking along a path and a rattlesnake appears, fear keeps you from walking up to it like nothing's wrong. If you open the fridge and your leftovers are covered in mold, disgust makes you really not want to eat them, which probably keeps you from getting sick. And if you see something happening that seems wrong, like an injustice, anger motivates you to deal with it.
And then of course there's sadness. All those feelings of grief and loss that fuel songs like this.
So when you gonna tell her that we did that too? She thinks it's special, but it's all we use. That was the show we talked about. Played you the song she's singing now when she's with you. Do you get deja vu when she's with you? Do you get deja vu?
And then there's joy. That feeling of happiness and celebration that sometimes makes you feel like you can levitate.
Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm levitating. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now obviously there are way more than just these 5 emotions, but to some people, we're already at 4 too many. It seems like life might be better if all we ever felt was happiness and joy, even while we were in pain or about to get bitten by a snake. This brings up an important question. Why do we have emotions in the first place? Turn to the person next to you and discuss that.
Some might refer back to Inside Out and say that emotions can protect us. Others might say that emotions help us connect with others. Still others might say that emotions make life more meaningful. And in a way, all of these answers are true, but on an even deeper level, human beings have emotions because we are made in the image of an emotional God.
Genesis 1:27 says, God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Everything we have and everything we are stems from some aspect of his eternal personality.
Before we unpack that, here's where we're going in the next few videos. We'll look at some of the extreme views of emotion in our culture, like that our emotions are either the most important thing about us or the least important thing. We'll talk about how to process our emotions in a healthy way, using them to connect with each other and with God.
We'll also look at the purpose of different major emotions, like anger and sadness. We'll talk about trigger warnings, safe spaces, and the idea of following your heart. But before we get into any of that, let's start with the idea that God is emotional too.
Many people are used to thinking about God in completely unemotional terms, as if he's too big and far removed to be affected by anything that happens in our lives. The Greek philosopher Aristotle believed in an unmoved mover, which was a force that set the universe in motion but isn't ever personally affected by any of it. Many people today will still see God in this way.
Others might think that if God feels any emotion at all, it's probably anger. And there are verses about God getting angry, but the Bible actually describes all three persons of the Trinity in dynamically emotional terms. Genesis 6:6 says that the Father's heart was deeply troubled by what he saw on the earth. He felt grief and sadness when he looked at all the pain and evil on our planet.
In Hosea 11:8, God says, "How can I give you over, Israel? My heart is changed within me. All my compassion is aroused." God felt deep compassion for Israel, even while they were living like they didn't know him.
In the New Testament, when Jesus is about to die, he tells his disciples, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." And in Ephesians 4:30, Paul writes, "Do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God," meaning there are things we can do that bring the Holy Spirit grief and sadness, and things we can do that bring him joy and gladness.
This is a very different picture of God from what most of us are used to, so we want to give you another minute to process. How does the idea of an emotional God make you feel? Turn to the person next to you and discuss that.
To some of you, maybe it feels uncomfortable, like God suddenly seems too real, too close for comfort, or too much like us if he has the same emotions we do. For others, maybe the idea of an emotional God helps you believe that God really does know how you feel, because he feels it himself.
Of course, verses like James 1:17 also tell us that God does not change like shifting shadows. And the question of how God can have emotions but also not change is a profound mystery. But our main point is just that human beings have emotions because God has emotions.
But unlike us, God is perfect, which also means that his emotions are perfect. Ours are not. Sometimes we're controlled by our emotions in ways God is not. Sometimes we feel the wrong things at the wrong times. Our emotions can be unruly and unreliable, which is why a lot of Christians don't spend much time focusing on them.
But the fact is, our emotions are affecting our lives, whether we're willing to acknowledge them or not. So the question is, how do we acknowledge and engage our emotions in a healthy and balanced way? We'll start discussing that in our next episode.